Hello viewers, Super GT here. Okay, so the most stupid race in Gran Turismo returns. Here it is, Special Stage Route X. It has featured on the channel a couple of times and it's back. As you can see here, it looks ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And we're going to do a fair few times to see if we can get that elusive victory. Let's jump in. Now, the most important thing with choosing the car is the colour, of course. I'm going to try and choose the fastest colour, which is obviously red with racing stripes. The stripes must add some speed, that's why they're there. And I was sensing a very positive vibe in the lobby this evening. So, would things be good? Would things be bad? Would hostilities resume like they did in previous videos at this very circuit? Strangely enough, the last four guys who didn't qualify, including myself, all went for the red car with the white stripes. So there must be some sort of logic here. We'll see if that's true. Okay, so for those who haven't watched the previous videos and don't know what I'm even talking about, if you look at the top right of the screen, you can see the track. Actually, let's look at this guy who's going for a weird strategy of grazing against the wall. But if you have a look at the map, top right of the screen, it is 2 long straights, 2 big corners, flat out the entire time. And this strategy is not the one you want. Grinding off the wall all the way around the circuit, it's going to do a fair amount of damage to your side of your car, and it's going to slow you down. So I wouldn't recommend that. But this is flat out, it's 1 lap. It takes about 4.5 minutes, or near enough 5 minutes to do a lap. And it becomes pretty much a melee and a bit of a lottery. Well, we'll see if it's a lottery. There is definitely skill to this, more than you might think. It's just a very strange looking type of skill. Now, coming into the first corner, sat here in ninth at the back of a train, so you can see it forms into a train, a slipstream train. If you fall outside of the train, then you lose track of the slipstream and then you drop back. So immediately the guys behind me, they're already 3.5 seconds back and they have no chance of winning this race now unless all 9 of us here crash, which could happen. Okay, on to the first corner. This is where things can go wrong, and you see here already the pack has become split. So I'm going to try to edge my way into the side that I think will do better. It's really a case of just trying to align myself with the train, as you can see. So the big group in front, just trying to get directly behind that group. And I'm going to go from 9th up into 8th, now 7th. And the French driver here doesn't get into the line soon enough. Oh, yes! So that's right, I fall into 6th place. Just the natural order has been resumed. But I don't want to finish here. I want to finish in first, ideally. So the race continues, of course, down the back straight. Now, I was flanked here by the 2 Frenchmen in a nice pincer movement. It didn't work out for them, though, because, of course, they're not in the train. They're not one of the main carriages in the Slipstream Express. As we hurtle towards turn 2, the final corner, and, well, I suppose oval specialists might call it, turns 1 and 2, and then turns 3 and 4. And, well, I'm sorry, because I'm European oval noob. But anyway, this is where things become very much more fractured. Or sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But in this instance, they very much are. And it turns pretty much into a free-for-all. So any sort of alliances you may have formed with other players may well be lost by this point. And that seems to be the case. We're going to try and move our way through, following Joe towards the front of the pack. I'm in a decent position here, but then I don't have the toe, and I'm surrounded, and I kind of lose out again. So I drop back into 6th place. This is the end of the race here. So I need something resembling a miracle if I want to try to win this one now. In fact, it's definitely too late. We're going to cross the line and finish in 6th place. Yeah, it just had to happen, really, didn't it? And you look at that, the top 9 within half a second. It's always going to be a very close race, this one. It really does come down to strategy and positioning and timing. And this is race 2. My Elgato, you can see it was a bit jumpy in that first race. It decided it wanted to freeze completely and not record my second race properly, so I'm having to do it with the replay, hence the black bars at the top and the bottom of the screen. But anyway, this one, you can see here, we're going about 5 abreast down the hill here. So I had some momentum, and I'm just trying to pick a way through, and there isn't really a way through, so I'm just trying to create a gap that isn't really there. And it doesn't really work out for me. And you might have noticed I was the only one using the yellow car. Everyone opting for black or grey. There might be some sort of science behind that, I don't know. But we'll see if we can bring the yellow car to a victory. So I found myself at the back of this train here. I'm actually in a decent position here. This is actually not too bad of a place to be. So I've got 2 cars directly in front. So you're basically bumping cars in front ahead with your slipstream. And you're just pushing your way forward. And on the exit of the first corner, we settle into a couple of different trains here. So I'm in a good spot here. The fact that I didn't qualify doesn't seem to matter too much on this race. It might help, I don't know, but it doesn't seem to help a huge amount. Now this is where things became truly fractured. You can see bits of infighting. People wanting to get the position behind the train, and it doesn't quite work out. Turning across each other, pinball in shoes. Someone did a 1080 spin there. Tony Hawk, maybe. And he's out of the race. Wait, has Tony Hawk done a 1080? Maybe. I don't know. 900. Let's just say he did a 900. But anyway, sitting in third, halfway through the final corner. Can we position ourselves in such a way to get this race win? I'm going to try and time the momentum. Jonathan goes narrow, goes to the bottom. I'm going to go to the high side. Is it going to be enough to secure this win? It's going to be very, very close. I need a bump. I need a bump. I need a bump. It doesn't happen. How close was that? I can assure you that that was 0.015 across the line between myself and a victory. It didn't quite happen for me. Didn't quite happen. It must have been the racing stripes. We're going to go with body side stripes this time, which must be the reason we lost that. Damien here asking for a video. And well, lo and behold, you are watching that video right now, my friend. So yes, video soon, video right now. I think Mohammed was wishing us a good evening. And with that, we move on to the third race. Starting in 7th. No real big deal that I didn't qualify. As we mentioned in the previous one, we can make our way up the order here. And in fact, you probably don't want to be in first. You probably don't want to be on pole position for this one, because it actually, I think, especially going into the final corner, if you're in the lead, actually, I find that you don't actually often win, because you get overtaken with the momentum of the people behind. So you often don't want to be in the lead going into the final corner or halfway through the final corner. You probably want to be in second or third. But we'll see if we can maximise something here in third race. So immediately powering our way through, we're going to form a train on the right hand side here. So you're just trying to pick and choose your alliances and which side to go on. And we're going to stick over to the right hand side with Max Power and Joe. And we are now going to form the top 3 of the order. Going down the hill, shifting up into 6th gear. So on this race, you don't need to shift up into 6th gear until you're going back down that hill. Keep it in 5th going up. And then 6th when you're going down. Maxing out here about 246 miles an hour. Max Power makes a bit of a mistake there, going a bit wide, and Joe doesn't really want to follow him. So I'm just going to back Joe. You see that that's what happens when you're not getting backed by anyone. You just lose a couple of miles an hour, and you're going to drop down the order. Joe gets a big random boost there. Sometimes that happens. It's kind of weird, and it's one of those things that scientists are yet to explain. Why one car will just suddenly fly about 20 meters ahead, probably lag. Now this was a weird phenomenon, and the outside train slowly but surely creeping their way forward. Now we had more than enough people on the right hand side here, but for some reason Max Power at the head of the Max Power Express was able to slowly but surely creep his way up the outside, and I'm not quite sure how that was happening. Yet again, another thing that scientists are yet to work out. let's hope that they can find the reason for this very soon and let me know why that happens. But then we enter the final corner. This is the big moment at the end of the race. I'm trying to back off the power to try to get a bit of a gap to therefore get a slingshot. It seems like Joe is backing off as well to not give me the gap. I'm going to back off a bit here and get, what's that, not even a metre. We're going to go to the low side. It worked in the previous race. Not for me, for the other guy who beat me. Is it going to be enough? We're going to maybe just get a bump from behind from another yellow car fellow user. Max Power gets the momentum though, and he wins the race. So there it is, look at that, 0.051 away from the race win. Very, very close, but no cigar. Finishing third. The outside train working very well on that occasion, so we must up our game. It's getting rather frustrating that we can't get this race victory. But it is one of those races that it's just so weird. It's just so weird. And in many ways, there is an element of luck, but I do think that there is an element also of making your luck. So I'm getting towards the front every time, but I'm not quite getting that victory. So I must be doing something right. It's just the closeout, you know. I'm not quite getting the finish. I'm not closing the race out well enough. I'm getting the rest right. The strategy's good up until 90% into the race, and at which point it kind of falls apart. Now, I've gone with a grey car. Let's see if this is the one to choose, although everyone's gone for the yellow one now, and the yellow and the white, it seems. Now, moving up into 6th place. That's the reason why you don't leave the train. The amount of comments I've seen on this last time said, why don't you just pull out and go the overtake? It's because you lose momentum. You lose positions if you pull out. The only reason you go to the side is if you have someone backing you up or you have someone in front of you and there's a train. You have to have a train. If you're on your own, you are toast and it's not going to work out well for you. Now, you want to watch the Spaniard and Mohammed here because we've got our big side-swiping party going on once again. The Shadow Realm has been firmly entered for the billionth time on this game, and we move up into 3rd. Thank you very much for that one, guys. And here we have 7 British people surrounding one lone Spaniard, and perhaps scenes of the latter stages of the Battle of Trafalgar being reenacted here, as the Spaniard does his best to try to outmaneuver the British. But is it going to work for him? We're about to find out as we enter the final corner. Jonathan in the lead, controlling the race. Now have a look at the radar because someone is going to exit stage right and enter the Shadow Realm for the 1,000,001th time. Billion and first. Made up a new word. Okay, we've got the momentum against the Spaniard. It's going to be a late charge for the line. Are we going to be able to win this? We need a bump. We need a bump. It's not quite going to happen. And across the line, Jonathan just holds on. The Spaniard finishes in 2nd and I finished 3rd. So it's actually the same order as how we went on to the final corner, which is quite interesting. And that normally isn't the case. Now, I thought I'd mix things up and do some qualifying. This was the most dull experience in my life on this game. Lapping flat out. Even the tyres, see on the bottom left of the screen, even the tyres are cold because of the lack of activity. So that was the first lap, which you're typically going to do 2 seconds slower than you normally would because of the slower rolling up to the line. So 4:56.5, and you see already I'm gaining time. Now this is a lesson, this is a big lesson in the fact that corner exit speed matters so much on this game, because by the time we even get to the first corner I'm still gaining time. 1.8 now seconds ahead. So it's almost like if you get better exit speed you are forever gaining time on someone who doesn't get good exit. Now for some reason I entered the final corner slightly wrong and lost a tiny amount of time, but then I just managed to gain some of it back on the exit, and we're going to finish the lap 2 seconds ahead. Well, annoyingly it wasn't quite 2 seconds, it was 1.999 seconds quicker. There we go. 454.594. Now, I was on a path of discovery here to try and work out the exact dynamics of the oval. And people may laugh at oval racing, but it requires such a fine level of finesse that is not quite found on road racing. Now, I tried to take the corner lower, as you can see, and I was gaining time. I gained half a tenth or more on the Ghost, but it's all about the exit speed, as we just mentioned. So as you can see, by riding the corner lower, you get a worse exit, and therefore you can see I lose so much time. The Ghost is the one that took the higher line, and it just forever gains on me, and I'm just never going to gain that time back. So I lose a tenth. It might not seem like a lot, but that is all the difference on an oval. In fact, my time there, 5:94, it's less than 2 tenths away from the world record. But it sounds like it's close, but it's really not that close. So I tried to ride again, and unfortunately I hit the wall. And then I decided to bail out like this. And you can see that I'm finished 6th on my friends list, which is rather frustrating. Let's have a look at the top time, which is, just shy of 2 tenths faster. He was riding the oval fairly high, and as you see, getting really close to the wall on the exit of the first corner to really maximise the exit. And again, here's how he exits the second corner. So it's just the ultimately smooth lap, and just riding the turns in the right position. So with that information in mind, we rejoin and try to pull off the elusive victory, which didn't really want to happen for me. So, starting third, a bit further forward, so something a bit different. Let's see if that makes a change for us. Let's hope it does. As we pull away from the line to start the 5th race, Marky Boy sensibly pulls over. We're going to go past the Belgian driver here, who is helpless, without any helpers. He's not getting any assistance, so we just easily sail by him. And I move up, therefore, from third to second. Jumping the gun a bit there. Max Power helping us, and then it becomes something of a melee, as you can see here. One of the craziest radar scenes you will ever see, with a good 7 or 8 cars there in sight. In the space, there it is. Since when have you ever seen motorsport quite like this? Well, probably NASCAR probably is about that close, isn't it? So I was trying to make some clever comment there, but actually this kind of racing does actually exist, albeit not in a full GT at 240 miles an hour. Bit different, but not a million miles away from NASCAR. Right, back straight. Marky Boy still in the lead, being challenged from Dragon Mika 59, the Frenchman. Although they get into a bit of a tussle behind, as you can see, with the Spaniard. And, well, I'm still sat here in second. I'm okay. It's really a case here of timing the overtake to perfection and going for the race win. That's what we're looking for. Can we get it done this time around? We've tried so many times. And just going to try and back off a little bit. Just going to try and time this exactly right. Then at this point here I get smashed against the wall, but somehow it doesn't slow me down. Some sort of divine intervention wanted me to win this race, and it happened.
Oh yes! He done it!
There we go. I don't know how physicists or scientists will explain that. I got pushed against the wall, but somehow I got a boost out of it, and I won the race. And that is enough of that race, because it's actually good fun, but we'll just get the one win, and that's enough. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.